Before the United States had its own mint, people used, well, many different types of coins. Coins from Spain, England, and other European countries were common. This was very confusing. Imagine trying to buy something when every coin in your pocket is different. The new country needed its own money. This would show the world that America was a real, independent nation. The leaders, like Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, believed that a national coinage was very important. It was a symbol of freedom and strength. Having our own coins would make trade easier for everyone. The Coinage Act of 1792 was the law that started it all. This important act created the United States Mint in Philadelphia. It also decided which coins would be made. The act said that the dollar would be the main unit of money. It also called for coins to be made of gold, silver, and copper. The silver coins were to be Media Group, historic silver dollar and half-dollar coins side by side. Antique U.S. silver coins were stocked distribute equally, the dollar, half-dollar, quarter-dollar, dime, and half-dime. The value of these coins was based on the amount of silver they contained. A silver dollar had $1 worth of silver. A half-dollar had 50 cents worth. This was a simple and honest system for the new nation's money. The very first silver coins made by the new U.S. Mint were not for circulation. In 1792, some special half-disms, an early spelling of dime, were struck. Legend says that George and Martha Washington provided their own silverware to be melted down for these first coins. While this story is likely just a fun tale, it shows how important these first coins were. They were like a preview of what was to come. These first coins were a promise. They were a promise that the United States would have its own strong and reliable money system. It was a proud moment for the young country. The first silver coins officially made for the public came a few years later. The year was 1794. The mint was finally ready to produce silver coins in larger numbers. These first coins were the flowing hair dollar and half dollar. Their design was simple but powerful. It showed a portrait of Lady Liberty with her hair flowing freely in the wind. This was meant to represent freedom. On the back was a rather skinny-looking eagle. These coins were not perfect. The equipment at the mint was new, and making coins was hard work. But they were a start. They were America's very own silver money, made for the people. The silver dollar was the king of American coins. It was the largest silver coin and represented the basic unit of our money. The first silver dollar, the flowing hair dollar of 1794 to 1795, is a very famous coin today. It was designed by a man named Robert Scott. The front showed Lady Liberty with long, flowing hair. The back had a simple eagle inside a wreath. Making these large coins was difficult. The press used to strike them was not very strong. Because of this, not many were made, and many were not struck very clearly. Finding a nice one today is a great treasure for any collector. In 1795, the design of the silver dollar changed. This new design is called the draped bust dollar. Lady Liberty now looked more formal and classical. Her hair was tied back with a ribbon. This design was also created by Robert Scott, but it was based on a drawing by the famous artist Gilbert Stuart. The eagle on the back also changed. At first, it was the same small eagle as before, but in 1798, a new, large heraldic eagle was introduced. This eagle looked much more powerful. It was based on the Great Seal of the United States. This design showed the world that America was a strong and proud nation. Something interesting happened in 1804. The U.S. Mint stopped making silver dollars. There was a problem. American silver dollars were slightly heavier than the Spanish dollars that were also being used. So traders would take the American dollars, ship them to the Caribbean, and trade them for the lighter Spanish dollars. They would then bring the Spanish dollars back to the U.S. Mint to be melted and made into new, heavier American dollars. They kept the extra silver difference as profit. To stop this, President Thomas Jefferson ordered the mint to stop producing silver dollars. No more were made for over 30 years. The silver dollar returned in 1836 with a beautiful new design. This was the Gobrecht dollar, named after its engraver, Christian Gobrecht. It showed Liberty seated on a rock, holding a shield. On the back was a magnificent eagle flying through a field of stars. These dollars were not made for general circulation at first. They were more like pattern or experimental coins. But they were so popular that they led to a new series of seated Liberty coins. The Gobrecht dollar is a favorite of collectors because of its stunning beauty and its important place in the history of the silver dollar. While the silver dollar was the most impressive coin, most people used smaller silver coins for everyday shopping. These were the half dime, dime, quarter, and half dollar. Like the dollar, their first designs were the flowing hair and draped bust types. The half dime was a tiny silver coin worth 5 cents. It was much smaller than the nickel we use today. The dime was worth 10 cents, the quarter 25 cents, and the half dollar 50 cents. All these coins were made of silver, and their size was related to their value. 2 half dollars contained the same amount of silver as 1 silver dollar. The designs of these smaller coins changed over the years. After the draped bust design, a new design called the capped bust appeared. This design, created by John Reich, showed a different view of Lady Liberty. She wore a cap that said Liberty on it. The eagle on the back was also new. It looked more natural, and was shown with its wings spread, holding an olive branch and arrows. This capped bust design was used on the half dime, dime, quarter, and half dollar for many years in the early 1800s. These coins were the workhorses of American commerce. One of the longest-lasting designs in American history was the seated Liberty design. It first appeared on a few dollars in the 1830s but was soon used on all silver coins, from the half dime to the dollar. It was designed by Christian Gobrecht. The front showed Liberty sitting on a rock, holding a pole with a Liberty cap on top. Her other hand rests on a shield. This design was used for over 50 years, from 1837 until 1891. During this long time there were small changes. For example, in 1853, arrows were added to the date to show a small reduction in the amount of silver in the coins. The half dime was an interesting little coin. It was so small it was easy to lose. In 1866, the first 5-cent coin made of nickel was created. This was the shield nickel. For a few years, the mint made both the silver half dime and the nickel 5-cent piece. People preferred the larger nickel coin. It was easier to handle and did not contain precious silver. The silver half dime was last made in 1873. This was the end of one of America's first silver coins. The dime, quarter, and half dollar, however, continued to be important silver coins for many more decades. As the 1800s came to a close, America was a very different country than it was in 1792. It had grown much larger and more powerful. People felt it was time for new coin designs that reflected this change. The seated Liberty design had been used for a very long time and looked old-fashioned. In 1892, the Mint introduced a new uniform design for the dime, quarter, and half dollar. This design was created by the Mint's chief engraver, Charles E. Barber. Because of this, these coins are known to collectors as Barber coins. They all featured the same head of Liberty on the front. The Barber design showed Lady Liberty facing to the right. She wears a cap and a small wreath of olive branches. The word Liberty is on a small band on her hair. The design was very classical and formal, in the style of Greek and Roman art. On the back of the dime, there was a wreath of corn, wheat, and oak. The back of the quarter and half dollar featured a large heraldic eagle, similar to the Great Seal of the United States. These coins were made from 1892 until 1916. They were the coins used by Americans during a time of great change, including the turn of the 20th century. During this period, there was also a special silver dollar made that was not for use in America. This was the trade dollar. It was made from 1873 to 1885. The trade dollar was slightly heavier than a regular U.S. silver dollar. It was created to make trade with China easier. In China, merchants liked to use large silver coins for business. The American trade dollar was made to compete with the Mexican silver dollar, which was very popular in Asia. The coin's design showed Liberty seated, but she is facing left and looking out over the sea, toward Asia. The trade dollar had a difficult history. At first, it was legal tender in the United States for payments up to $5, but in 1876, that law was changed. The coin was no longer official money in America. This caused a lot of confusion. The price of silver dropped and the coins became worth less than $1. Banks and businesses would not accept them. Many people who had saved trade dollars lost money. The Mint stopped making them for business in 1878, but it continued to make special proof versions for collectors until 1885. Today, they are a very interesting and collectible coin. So, the early 1900s are often called the Renaissance of American coinage. President Theodore Roosevelt, well, he really wasn't a fan of the Barber coin designs. He actually thought they were, kind of boring and plain. Roosevelt wanted American coins to be true works of art, just like the coins of ancient Greece. So, he went ahead and hired some famous artists, not just the mint's engravers, to create all new designs. And, honestly, this led to some of the most beloved coin designs in United States history. In 1916, there was a competition held to replace the barber dime, quarter, and half dollar. This competition resulted in 3 new and truly beautiful silver coins. The new dime was called the Wing Liberty Head Dime, but most folks just called it the Mercury Dime. That's because the image of Liberty with that wing cap looked a lot like the Roman god Mercury. The design, by Adolph A. Weinman, is, well, considered a real classic. On the back, Weinman created a design featuring a fasces, a bundle of rods with an axe blade, and an olive branch. This symbolized, both strength and peace. The Mercury dime was made from 1916 to 1945, and it's honestly one of the most popular coins for collectors to gather. Even people who don't collect coins often know and love the Mercury dime. The new quarter was the Standing Liberty Quarter, designed by Herman A. McNeil. Now the first design, which was only made in 1916 and part of 1917, showed Liberty standing, holding a shield, but her right breast was exposed. A lot of people were actually shocked by this. Public outcry led the Mint to change the design in 1917, and they added a coat of chainmail to cover Liberty's chest. This coin is really beautiful, but it did have a problem. The date was placed on a raised step, and it wore away pretty quickly. It's actually pretty common to find standing Liberty quarters where the date is completely gone. The new half dollar was also designed by Adolph A. Weinman, and it's called the Walking Liberty Half Dollar. It shows this magnificent full-length figure of Liberty walking toward the sunrise, carrying branches of laurel and oak, with the American flag draped over her shoulders. This design is considered by many folks to be the most beautiful design ever to appear on a United States coin. It's so loved that a version of it is still used today on the American Silver Eagle bullion coin. The Walking Liberty half dollar was minted from 1916 to 1947, and it really represents the peak of artistic design in American silver coinage. For over 170 years, the silver in American dimes, quarters, and half dollars was a key part of their value. A half dollar was worth 50 cents because it had 50 cents worth of silver in it. But in the early 1960s, this system started to fall apart. The price of silver on the world market began to rise. Soon, the value of the silver in the coins was getting very close to the face value of the coins themselves. If the price continued to rise, a dime would be worth more than 10 cents. When that happened, people would have a reason to melt the coins down for their silver. The government knew this would be a disaster. If coins were being melted, there would be a severe coin shortage. Vending machines, payphones, and everyday business would grind to a halt. The U.S. Treasury Department had to act. They had been selling silver at a low fixed price, but they couldn't do it forever. The decision was made to remove silver from the nation's circulating coinage. This was a huge change. The Coinage Act of 1965 was passed. It stated that new dimes and quarters would be made from a sandwich of copper and nickel. They would look silver but contain no precious metals. The half dollar was treated a little differently. The 1964 Kennedy half dollar was very popular, and people were hoarding it in memory of the late president. To keep a silver coin in circulation but reduce its silver content, the government decided to make half dollars with less silver. From 1965 to 1970, half dollars were made with a silver content of 40%. The outer layers were mostly silver, but the inner core was mostly copper. After 1970, even this small amount of silver was removed. The half dollar, like the dime and quarter, became a copper nickel-clad coin. The year 1964 marks the last year that 90% silver coins were made for circulation. This change marked the end of an era. For the first time since 1794, silver coins were no longer being made for the pockets and purses of Americans. People started to look through their change, pulling out all the older silver coins. These coins, dated 1964 and earlier, were worth more than their face value. Many millions of them were melted down by silver dealers. This is why it is so rare to find a silver dime or quarter in your change today. The Great Silver Melt removed a huge part of our history from circulation, but it also created a new and exciting area for coin collectors. After the seeded Liberty dollar, a new silver dollar was created. This was the Morgan dollar, named after its designer, George T. Morgan. It was first minted in 1878. The front shows a profile of Lady Liberty. The model for this coin was a Philadelphia school teacher named Anna Willis Williams. The back shows an eagle with its wings spread. The Morgan dollar was not made because people needed it for trade. It was made because of a law called the Bland-Allison Act. This law required the government to buy millions of dollars worth of silver from Western mines each month and turn it into dollars. Because the Morgan dollar was not popular for daily use, millions of them were never circulated. They were just put into cloth bags and stored in treasury vaults. For decades they sat there, untouched. Then, in the early 1960s, the Treasury decided to release these bags of old mint-condition dollars. It was like finding a buried treasure. People could go to a bank and buy a bag of 1,000 brand-new, 80-year-old silver dollars for their face value. This created a huge wave of new coin collectors. The Morgan dollar is now probably the most popular and widely collected classic American coin. After World War I, people wanted a coin that celebrated the arrival of peace. This led to the creation of the peace dollar. A competition was held, and the winning design was by a young sculptor named Anthony de Francisci. His design showed a beautiful and modern-looking head of liberty. The model was his own wife, Teresa. On the back, a majestic eagle is shown perched on a rock, watching the sunrise of a new day. The word peace is at the bottom. It is a powerful symbol of hope after a terrible war. The peace dollar was first minted after the end of 1921. It was made every year from 1922 to 1928. After that, the government had made enough silver dollars to meet the requirements of the law, so production stopped. It was briefly made again in 1934 and 1935 during the Great Depression. The last peace dollar was struck in 1935. This was the last silver dollar made for circulation in the United States. Together, the Morgan and peace dollars represent the final chapter in the story of the American silver dollar as a coin for the people. They are large, beautiful pieces of silver and history. The world of American silver coins is full of rare and famous treasures. For many collectors, the ultimate prize is the 1804 draped bust silver dollar. As we learned, the mint stopped making dollars in 1804. However, in the 1830s, the government wanted to make special sets of coins to give as diplomatic gifts. They decided to create a few 1804 dated dollars for these sets, since 1804 was the last year they had been officially authorized. Only 15 of these coins are known to exist. They are not regular coins from 1804, but special later creations. They are so famous, they are called the King of American coins. One of them has sold for over $7 million. Another very rare and interesting silver coin is the 1894 S Barber dime. That year, the San Francisco Mint, which is why there is an S on the coin, struck only 24 of these dimes. The reason is a mystery. The story goes that the Mint superintendent, John Daggett, struck them as special gifts for some of his banker friends. He gave 3 of them to his young daughter, Hallie, and told her to save them until she was old. But, the story continues, she immediately spent one of them on a dish of ice cream. Today, only 9 of these coins are known to still exist. That ice cream cost a lot of money, as an 1894 S dime is now worth over $1 million. Some coins are rare because of a mistake. The 1916 D Mercury dime is a good example. In 1916, the new Mercury dime was made at the main mint in Philadelphia and at the branch mint in Denver. The Denver Mint only produced a small number, just 264,000 coins. In contrast, the Philadelphia Mint made over 22 million. Because so few were made in Denver, the 1916 D dime, with a small D mint mark on the back, became a key coin for collectors. It is the rarest coin in the entire Mercury dime series. Finding one in any condition is a great achievement for a collector. Collecting silver coins can be a fun hobby for anyone. You don't need to find a multi-million-dollar rarity. Many people enjoy collecting a full set of Roosevelt dimes, which were made of silver from 1946 to 1964. Others like to collect a typeset, which means getting one example of each major design. For example, you could have a Barber quarter, a Standing Liberty quarter, and a Washington quarter. This shows the history of the coin's design. Collecting old silver coins is like holding history in your hand. Each coin has a story to tell about the time when it was made and used. Even though silver coins are no longer used for everyday transactions, the US Mint did not stop making silver coins entirely. The government knew that many people still wanted to own silver as an investment and as a collectible. In 1986, the US Mint began a new program. It started to produce a special silver coin for investors and collectors. This coin is the American Silver Eagle. It is a large, beautiful coin that contains 1 full troy ounce of 99.9% pure silver. It has a face value of $1, but its real value is based on the fluctuating price of silver. The design of the American Silver Eagle connects the present to the past. The front of the coin features the beloved Walking Liberty design by Adolph A. Weinman, which was first used on the half-dollar from 1916 to 1947. This is widely considered one of the most beautiful designs in American history. The back of the coin originally featured a modern heraldic eagle designed by John Mercanti. In 2021, to celebrate the coin's 35th anniversary, the reverse design was updated to a new, more natural-looking eagle as it comes in for a landing, designed by Emily Damstra. This coin is the most popular silver bullion coin in the world. Besides the Silver Eagle, the US Mint also produces other modern silver coins. Every year the Mint issues special proof sets for collectors. These sets contain perfect mirror-like versions of the circulating coins. Since 1992, the Mint has also offered silver proof sets. In these sets, the dime, quarters, and half-dollar are struck in the traditional 90% silver alloy of the old coins. This allows collectors to continue adding real silver coins to their collections. These sets are very popular and are a great way to appreciate the beauty of our modern coin designs in precious metal. Today, on November 15, 2025, American silver coins hold a special place in our culture. They are no longer the money of commerce, but they are treasures of history and a store of value. The coins from 1794 tell the story of a new nation's birth. The Morgan dollars recall the Wild West and the great treasury hoards. The beautiful designs of the early 20th century show a country proud of its artistic talent. And the modern American Silver Eagle shows that the desire to own pure, beautiful silver is still very much alive. The story of American silver coins is a story of art, economics, and the history of the United States itself, written in a metal that has been cherished for thousands of years.